Okay, guys. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another fantastic session today. It's a Sunday evening, and in most part of the world, because we are normally joined by ACCA members and future members from across the globe. So, those of you who are joining us in the evening or other uncomfortable hours, especially, thank you for taking time out to join us. Today's topic is another very interesting and relevant, which focuses on startups and the finance professionals, their role, particularly in the age of COVID. So, today we have with us a fantastic guest from Russia. I'm sure she doesn't need much intro, but as is the norm, I would introduce herself and then I'll do the unpleasant task of introducing myself as well. So we have Oxana with us. Oksana's full name, I hope Oksana is pronounced that right. Oxana Losevskaya, right?
That's fine. I love the way you say it.
Why don't you say it yourself, just so we are absolutely sure about that?
Yeah, it's a hard name to pronounce. I remember just only one person who could say that because it's too long. Sometimes I feel myself a bit lost when I'm just saying the whole name. It's
Uh,
Oksana Losevskaya. Losevskaya. I don't know how you like emphasize which word, but it's Oksana
okay,
Losevskaya.
let me just try that. Oksana Losevskaya.
That's
Losevskaya.
excellent.
Losevskaya. Cool. Perfect. You're a good teacher.
Perfect.
Okay, so Oksana is the chair of ACCA's Russia's member network panel, and Oksana is also a partner at SL Partners Strategy Consulting. Thank you, Oksana, for taking time out and joining us today. Now, I am hopeful that most of you already know me by now. Those who might be joining us for the first time, my name is Omer Zaheer Meer. I'm currently a part of the Global Text Forum and International Assembly of ACCA, where I actually met Oksana too, because the chair of the network panels and sometimes vice chair go there to meet other reps of various markets, other ACCA reps from various markets. So, in addition to that, I'm also honored to be sitting on the editorial board of Policy Insights, an ACCA publication. Beside that, I'm the twice running unanimous chair of ACCA Pakistan's member network panel and the taxation subcommittee. I'm also honored to be contributing on the professional experts forum of ACCA while also chairing its tax clinic and a few other initiatives. On the professional side, I'm the managing partner for taxation and corporate services at MLCC. That's Millennium Law and Corporate Company for you, which happens to be the pioneer ACCA and legal practicing firm in the entire region. And I say this with extreme prideness in our ACCA qualification that then ACCA president, Mr. Brian McHenry, specially flew to Pakistan to grant us the practicing certificate. So I think that's pretty much about me. You already know about my writings and training sessions, but that's for another time. And I'm sure you guys do know how to go, and you simply can Google both of us and you'll have the entire profiles. So, by the way, Oksana, we have already started receiving some questions, which is good. But the format today would be as usual, that we'll start discussing some key themes around the topic. And once they are concluded, then we'll open the forum for the Q&A session with you guys. So first things first, Oksana, startups. So tell us why the role of finance professionals is important in the context of startups.
Amer, first of all, I want to thank you for a great introduction and for saying me so many nice things about the profession, about us, about yourself, about the work which is done by ACCA members, for ACCA members. It's excellent and brilliant from all perspectives. And just answering your question, financial professionals play a very important role in startups because, as we know, startup is mainly a new business, the business which starts with 0 point, with almost nothing from the scratch, where we're just on the ground, an idea and nothing more than that. So people come up with great ideas. I mean, the ideas would be multiple. across the whole universe of different things, and we'll talk about that a bit later. So what happens? The person would just come up with an idea, build up a team, and they start up developing it. And after that, always it comes to the point when business needs money, like any business needs money in order to increase the team, just continue the work that has been done by few people. And along the way, it so happens that you have to raise funding and attract new investors. And when you come up to this path, you always need a financial person which would help you out along the way to run the business, to talk to investors, to represent the company, and to keep finances in place and to keep them in order. Because otherwise, without finance professional, the business would just go off the cliff. And we are as very well set up as professional, as financial professionals. We're very well set up to help out such businesses. Hopefully, I have answered your question.
Thank you, Oksana, for that wonderful answer. And you are always welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. I think, Oksana, you have beautifully covered more aspects. What I would like to add is the other thing which we often discuss and now stress upon, which connects with the role of the future finance professional too. So a finance professional is best suited to be an entrepreneur. In addition, for all the things that you said, because they have a good understanding of the financials. So if a person has a best finance professional, but they still do not understand the underlying financials, there is a gap. They have to try to understand what that person is telling to them. Then the communication, human relations, all those aspects come into play. Compare that to someone like us, who has a very good understanding of the finance profession and what the financials mean, and you immediately have a jump start. You immediately have a benefit. For the rest of the things, I think you have already adequately covered. So let's move on to the next question and next theme, in fact, and that's actually a very interesting one. It says that there are so many factors which are important for a startup to be successful, and we know, Oksana, that vast majority of the startups end up not being successful. Majority of the businesses end up losing. So, in your opinion, if you have to choose, what would you say are the two most important? Okay, let's make it three. Three most important factors in that order that ensure that a startup is successful. We know that the idea matters. We know that you need to have the finances, as you mentioned, the team, timing, everything. So if you have to pick any three which you think are the most important, which one would you pick?
It's quite it's easy to answer, and at the same time has pretty much some milestones. But the first one, which you say, that it comes up with idea and market opportunity. Without them, there won't be any startup, because how to say that from idea comes product, and product should be sold out on the market. And if there's no market, you can't sell any product which comes out of idea. So it's like circling around. And what the idea is, what is the key story behind how good it's going to be? Is it new product? Is it an old product that which is going to come out of ideas? Like BlaBlaCar, if you take Airbnb, at first there was an idea to do something new, and after that came up product. But in order to go from idea to product, you have to think carefully and to know where you're going to sell your product, who's going to buy it, how business is going to work, how the company solution is different from your peers, and how competitive is going to be, where you're going to find this market, how good the company's product is going to be, how many people are going to be buying it, and how big the addressable market is, how quickly it's going to be growing and absorbing your product, and how many promising sectors. So you have to ask yourself those questions: what you're creating and who you're going to sell it. If there's no buyer, you're going to be left over with no money, and even you have to understand how you're going to be selling it. And when you think about that, you have to sell dream, you have to sell an idea, you have to sell magic. If people believe in your story and you tell it with enthusiasm and you're very much inspired and you believe in your story and you love it, people would love it. But they have to understand what value for them, what kind of dream they can realize through your product, what is behind it, what kind of problem you might help them to solve. And that one, the dream comes true. It's like when you think about Uber realized the idea to help people to travel safely from point A to point B. If you talk about Airbnb, they helped people to find apartment, to find accommodation when they travel, and people love to travel. And hopefully we'll come back to that normal again and would be able to travel the same way. So those things, they come out of somewhere and they become products, and they're going to be sold out on the market. And you have to identify the market. You have to find who's going to be your purchaser, who's going to be buying your product, who's going to be your customer. The second very important thing is team, because everything depends on team. How many people you have in order to run your company, how well this, how great how strong chemistry is between your team, like key people. Because at the beginning, when you have startup, you don't have too many people. Usually there's like 3 to 5 people who are starting up the business, and not always finance people come into place at the first stage. Sometimes there could be like 3 IT guys, or like 3 people who have developed some kind of very interesting idea that started up developing it, and after that they think, okay, we need finance people in order to help us out with finances. And when it comes, it seems that all people, the whole team should be working together as one. And when investor looks actually at the team, what they're asking themselves question: would it be this particular team successful? How well they work together?
Oksana, sorry to interrupt you. We will be coming on that. That's a follow-up question. In fact, somebody asked us. So quickly, your third point. You have given us 2 things. Number 1 for you is idea. Number 2, the team. And number 3?
Minimum viable product.
Minimum viable product. Fantastic. Okay, I think you gave a brilliant answer. Full marks to you. And without any discredit to that, it's a fantastic traditional wisdom. I would like you and our audience to consider an alternate thought as well. So you talked about Airbnb, and you also mentioned about Uber, which have been fantastic success stories for the startup scene. But it's common knowledge that Airbnb was passed around from investor to investor to investor to investor because everybody thought they were in a quagmire, and it was a flop idea because nobody was gonna rent out rooms in their houses to total strangers. Then why did it become success? When the financial crisis hit the entire world, the infamous we are all aware of now, then people needed extra cash. And that was the time that the investor in command actually marketed it like that, and it became acceptable. So the idea was already there, the minimum viable product was there, and even the team was there, but the timing was not right. Similarly, we are doing this on the YouTube Live. So, do you know that before YouTube, many similar concepts failed? As there was a Z Stream, XYZ, many names. When YouTube came, one of the reasons was that it was not easy to watch the videos. There were technical issues, there was codec and all. So when Flash came and you could just install that, it became part of the operating system, etc. And then YouTube was launched. Although it was a different product, I'm not saying it was a copycat or all, it was a different in its own. But the basic theme that you should be able to have a video streaming network where you can watch the videos and all at your will, that concept existed, but its time was not there. So what I want you and all our budding entrepreneurs to consider is that absolutely the idea is critical, no doubt about that. The team, you can't succeed without a team, and as you rightly said, whenever there would be an investor, they would look at that, and obviously the minimum viable product to come. But perhaps the most important thing that really differentiate success from failure is the timing. Whether the solution that you are launching, is the time right to launch that? Are the people ready for that? Is the environment conducive to that being launched? If not, then you perhaps need to relook at your strategy. And similarly, you mentioned about Uber, Oksana. Same thing happened with Uber. Uber became a success more so during the financial crisis because all these taxi drivers needed extra cash. And suddenly there was this solution that they could still use their cars part time. And that was the whole thing. Initially, even people who were not taxi drivers, they joined Uber so they'll have some extra income stream. So it was the timing of the global economy, and obviously, that relates with what you have pointed out, identifying a particular problem to solve. So, yeah, we totally agree. The only thing I wanted to point out was that my number one would be the timing. That would be the number one for me. And then obviously, you need to have a good idea. And if you have a good idea and then a good team, these are number three for me. So, let's move on to the next theme that we have to discuss. The next theme is, what are good businesses to start up? Okay, which businesses are good one to go for a startup? What kind of businesses, finance professionals or anybody else who want to actually have a startup should think about? What kind of areas they should, or let me just make it simpler, hot industries for startups?
Yeah, that one, it's pretty much clear, and it's been influenced by COVID at the same time. I can see how it's been shifting, and especially with Zoom technology that we started up using, it started up booming thanks to. I'm sorry for saying that, but it was thanks to COVID that why Zoom becomes so you know, famous actually across the globe. They provided software. Zoom was before COVID, definitely, but with lockdowns it's become so convenient to use, because before that we had Skype and everyone used Skype, but it so happened that Zoom became much more convenient to use, and the right timing opening window of opportunities allowed the company to boost up in such a short period of time that it just become amazing. Let's have a look at other industries. I just want to touch base on them. It's biotech. Biotech is one of the hot topics right now, and it's going to be hot topics for a long period of time because people are growing older, and we should be expecting that personal health care, biotech, those industries, they're going to be with us. And what they're looking at, biotech could be consist of pharmaceuticals and therapeutics. And all of them, one is focusing on developing and monitoring medicine for people's health, and therapeutics focusing mainly on science of healing. Another one which was actually received another boost would be health and personal health, especially its clinical documentation workflow. When we come to the hospital, usually I mean that in old times, I might say like 10, 20 years ago, everything was written down on the paper. So patients would carry out with them those like large books with their with the story of their health problems. And right now everything is where everything is on the computer, and if you need it, you just can download all the information on your memory stick and carry it to another hospital, go to another country with your health story, and that's pretty much become very easy. And so then we're just living in a new world in this sense. Digital healthcare applications, predictive analytics is another thing which is going to be developing very quickly. It's one thing which actually hit me very much is nanotechnology shrink sensors and other devices which will allow implementation in the body, so that people can monitor their health problems remotely, and receive a trigger or red flag in terms of their health conditions change through their monitors. And this is one breakthrough technology. On demand food delivery. Food delivery become the hottest topic actually due to lockdowns all across the globe. And in Russia, we have so many companies that I can see the way how they just booming, their business is booming, they're growing very rapidly, while other businesses declining, those ones, they feel themselves fantastic. Provision of logistics, e-commerce, healthcare, as we mentioned, BlaBlaCar, Mark delivery, so many delivery services, and they're all across the globe. Another example would be voice search. It's Alexa, Siri, and other ones. They're not new. Voice search, they're not new. I remember even in 2000s, there've been already voice recognition technologies available. When you were looking for a street, you would say the street and you would get a recommendation on the phone or whatever. But they become more and more developed and help people, especially those ones that have, let's say, eye vision problems or any other, or just need information to get quicker. Another one would be streaming. That one that we've got used to using every day, live streaming in all forms, and it's Amazon Prime, Netflix, which become very famous across the globe when they allowed people during lockdown to watch their TVs online. Amazon Prime Video, YouTube, Hulu, those ones, they're just taking their share of the market and growing so rapidly and quickly. Infrastructure, smart cities. I might say that another one would be infrastructure and smart cities is just like normal thing with parking, energy solutions. It's pretty much heavy stuff. Another one which was useful for finance people, they're not named as hot topics, but I can name them as very important for financial professionals. It's like platform as Zaheer. When you need your accounting and you do everything online, and especially when it's going to be predictive finance system built within the system, and you can have your future cash flows developed. And BI systems become very popular. We did ourselves actually a project on BI system. It's very difficult actually at this moment. And as you said, the timing sometimes is not right for some good products. As for BI, it's very interesting software solution, but it's at this moment it's quite difficult to implement and very difficult to develop within to do it for the company, because it's always how to say that business related solution, it cannot be applied to all businesses across the whole universe. If you need some particular information about your business, you have to develop this software, you have to make it up to your needs. And in this case, it's become, a bit more narrow in terms of use. You can't apply the same solution for everyone, and it becomes more expensive. So in terms of BI systems, the problem is that it's still sort of expensive to use, but I'm sure that the future would be after those technologies, and especially when which one is it? Power BI is coming into place. I'm sure that this technology would be developing very quickly, and other accounting software solutions, as I mentioned, as Zaheer, the future is going to be after them, definitely.
Fantastic. I'm sure you haven't left any business startup idea of Russia. No, on a serious note, thank you. It was a very comprehensive answer and a good answer. I think Oksana has covered that very well. And one of the challenges that you have when you are speaking later is that pretty much all of it is already covered. So I agree that most of these ideas are universal, because as we discussed before, it's about having the timing right. So in this particular time with the COVID lockdown and all this situation, there are huge opportunities in connecting people, in having technological answers to the vacuum in terms of workforce control, in terms of more productivity, in terms of getting your groceries at home, in terms of getting your shopping at home, etc., etc. There are huge opportunities there. Similarly, as we have spoken about the changes, technological advancements, and we have done that in the past few sessions as well in the finance field. So we already have been, ACCA has already been talking about the role of the future finance professional for quite some time now. And we have been talking that it would be different in terms of that the repetitive tasks, the compliance tasks would start becoming redundant. Softwares or robotics would start taking over, and it has already started happening in many part of the world now. The audit plans and programs are being automated. Similarly, normal tax compliance, even filling of the returns, are becoming automated. So we are already moving in that direction. What COVID has done is really, I believe, Oksana, speed up the process. So people might have taken more time in adopting and accepting these changes and technologies, but because of this sudden lockdown, this sudden crisis that was imposed on the entire world, people adopted that much faster, because that is one thing about us humans, the humanity, that we learn to survive, we learn to adopt. So put a crisis in front of us and we'll do our best to find the solution. That brings us to the next theme of the day, which is, what would the investor normally look for in a startup? Okay, you want to go first on that one?
Yeah, Amer, you can take you can go first, and I will just follow you.
Okay, thank you. Basically, it would really depend at which stage of the startup cycle the investor is coming in. So let's talk a scenario where the investor is coming in really early. You had put in some seed money, you developed a viable product, you did a little bit of marketing or something, campaigns, and you got a good response, but you don't have enough finances. So now you have seen there can be attraction of the product, and you are vying the investors, most likely the angel investors. So at this stage, when they'll come, first, they'll see whether they believe in your product, whether they believe the timing is right, whether they believe you have actually answered a gap in the market. You are actually solving a problem, or you are just rebranding an existing solution. If you are just rebranding an existing solution, the level of interest would go down. Then probably angel investor won't be your answer. You might need to go to corporate banks, etc. There would still be other avenues. However, if you have a viable product, if the timing is right, and you have actually answered a problem, a gap, making life easier for people, and the investor believe there would be a demand, then the next step would be, what team do you have? What is the relationship of the creating team, the pioneers, the ones who have started up, how good they gel with each other. And it's not just their human relationship with each other, but how does their abilities complement each other. So it may be in an ideal team that one of the guy or girl may be good on the technical side, one may be very good on and smart on the marketing and communication side, and one might be very good in taking care of the financial side. So you see, not only would their personal chemistry matter, but also how they complement each other. And these are some of the major things, having been a part of the startup scene and even a judge in some of the startup awards. And by the way, I didn't become the judge straight away. I even participated in many startup competitions in early days. So these are the key themes. But as I said, they do not remain standard. It depends on which stage in the startup cycle you are coming. But these are some of the major things you have to look out for. So over to you, Oksana. You have been smiling, so I believe you have to add something.
Yeah, I can say that, yeah, for startups, you have to remember that they're going through different stages of development. The first one usually is self-funding. No one is going to give you money. You remember that there is actually an expression at the first stage, who's actually financing the business? Family, friends, and fools. So those people who would believe you, who would give you money to start up something, that doesn't show actually the product itself, because the first stage, when you don't have any product, you have just an idea and you starting with nothing. So either you go with self-funding, or friends give you money, or your family, or fools. I mean, that you find someone who might fund actually your experience, or you just go, you do it on your own in garage.
They're not really like true outside. I mean, you can go to their family, your family, emotionally blackmail them, go to your friends and tell them about all the good times you had, and for goodness sake, they have to help you. So yeah, that's fine. But we are talking about real investors, the outside people you don't have a link with, and they are gonna put the money in your idea, in your business, believing in you. What would they look for?
Yeah, that one is going to be the next stage, because the first stage is called pre-seed funding, when you don't have any external investors like venture funds or accelerators. And there are some few actually companies that started up with idea and they got funding. I think it was Uber actually, but it happens very rarely. I don't know so many companies that can have investors funds at the early stage, when there's no business established, when there's no nothing actually, just an idea. So if you talk about real world, the second stage, when you look for seed funding, when you come to the stage when you have already developed something and you have already come up with idea, you know what your market is, what your product is, you have already tested everything. So then you come up to investors, which is venture funds, accelerators, angels. And there's so many of them right now, and in each country I know that you can find people who are interested in such kind of ideas and they want to give money. Usually they come up like with 25%, they don't give you 100%. And people who actually who are looking for investors, they don't want to lose their like their stake, actually sell off all the 100%. It's just like it's I mean, there's no point why would you run your startup business if you don't have share actually in your own business. And for investors the same, they would want to hold on the company and to develop your idea further on. At this stage, you have to already show up some kind of progress in terms of your business, and you go to such investors, you have to talk to them, you have to show them numbers. And in that one, you need a finance professional, the person who would be talking with investors using their own language. And you have to find investor who would fit your business profile at the same time, investor who would understand what you're doing. Because if you're doing some kind of medical software and you come to investor who is interested in retail business, you would never find actually a common language. You would never understand each other because you're talking about different things, about different markets. So the investor that you have to be looking with your first business actually layer, you have to be talking the same language, and people should be able to understand each other. Let's say if an investor asks you what your business would generate IRR in 10 years' time, and you have no idea what IRR is, so then what you're going to talk about afterwards, he would ask you what kind of return on investment I'm going to have, and you can't answer that question. How would you actually continue conversation with investor? Investor would lose actually interest in your idea because you have no idea what you're developing, what your financial numbers are. And in this place, you would need financial person who can talk the same language with investor and explain what your business is about, what kind of numbers is going to be generated within period of time, what kind of return investor would receive, what kind of market investor is going to be investing, what kind of business. It's like the whole structure you have to face yourself, and you have to know how to present actually the business case. Because if you cannot present it, if you cannot make a presentation of your business, it's just like nothing to talk about it. And in this stage, this is the seed funding. It could go down to many seed funding stages when the business would be developing further on up to IPO. Yes, Omer, yeah. Omer, I cannot hear you. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, can you hear me now? Okay, there is a follow-up question now, Oksana. So you have the perfect presentation. You speak the language, your numbers add up, you have done some sales, you have given all that to the investor. But the investor doesn't believe in your idea.
It might happen. You have to persuade investor that firstly, you have to believe in your idea. You have to believe that you sell your product, that you have your product and you can sell it and you know who you're going to sell it. If you have no idea who's going to be your customer, how are you going to persuade investor?
No, that's fine. That's fine. Totally agreed. And you already very rightly covered that. If you have a presentation, you have the numbers. So obviously, you know what your market is. That's why you have been making the sales. So that point is already covered. So what I'm trying to bring you towards is we started the discussion that what the investor is looking for. So obviously, the potential is one thing. But don't you think that before that, obviously, the investor is looking for what you yourself said initially in reply to another question: timing, viable product, team, whether they believe an issue has been answered. Because at times, I'm sure you would also have seen this, having known you, also having started up businesses and all, just like myself. At times, we see that the numbers are good. But as an investor, from an investor's point of view, we believe that it does not justify the risk, or it is not sustainable in the long term, or it does not really answer a gap. Or at sometimes this even happen that you agree with everything else, you believe there is potential, you believe everything is fantastic, timing is right, the product is great, that market traction is good, there has been a traction and sales being generated, they have all the idea, but you think this team can't survive with each other, they have they have no proper working relationships. So perhaps these are the kind of things we are looking here. But could you also guide our audience that you have already touched on this theme, that how can a finance professional help startups? You have already mentioned by assisting them to understand the financials, the rate of return, etc., assist them in making the pitches and presentation fair enough. That's one part. Do you think there are any other areas that we as finance professionals can help entrepreneurs, especially in cases where we are not the entrepreneurs ourselves?
Yeah, the first one actually, even just based on my experience, I can tell you what startups have. The first problem that they're facing, that you have to help them to outline strategy, because strategy, it sounds easy, and it seems to be that you already know how your business is going to be booming in 5 years' time. But the strategy is not just only about wording, it's about numbers as well. It means that you have to pull up your P&L statement and like have a look actually at deep finances, what your business is going to be built out of, how many people you might need actually to sell your product, because you think that you can sell to one client, but what the cost is behind of selling this one product to one client? How many, if you increase the number of clients to 1,000, how many? What the cost is going to be behind? How many employees you might need to hire? What your rent expense is going to be? And it seems to be that you have to go through all financial statement in order to understand it. And just only finance people do understand it clearly, how the numbers are working. They have a feeling how it's going to be. I remember I was analyzing one business, and there was payables and receivables, and they didn't match between each other. They gave quite a big hole actually in cash flow, and with that hole, the business couldn't survive even one day, because if you have to pay right now, right away, but you receive money in 180 days, even if you have a great margin, the business wouldn't survive. So it means that, like, even if you have an idea could be brilliant, margin could be brilliant, but if you have this deep hole in your finances, and you don't have enough cash flow, and you don't have anywhere to get this finances from, even if you get a loan, let's say from a bank, it's not applicable to startups. You can't get a loan for a startup business. It's just no way you can do that. No one would give you money for not established business. But I'm talking about the business. If you think that you can get those money, you have to be paying off interest payment on the money that you attracted. And those ones coming to the place when you understand whether you have enough sufficient funds in order to fund the business itself. So what you're helping to outline strategy, build up business financial model, and see how well you are prepared to run the business and go further on down the road up to 10 years time, and what kind of pitfalls and problems you might face. you might help improve business efficiency and profitability at the same time, because it can happen. As we know, Uber wasn't profitable for about 3 years, and usually it's applicable to many startup businesses. They're not profitable for up to 3 to 5 years sometimes, but they have this great idea, and they know that they can improve their financials, they can improve their numbers, and if they hire right financial person, or bring up a new finance professional into their team, that person might help them out to find a way how to make business efficient and profitable, how to help with to save money, how to cover up your loopholes in terms of cash flow. Those questions good financial person would help out with no problem, and you need those people within your team in order to grow your business. So those things that financial people are good at, and they're helping across the whole universe of the business, and they're helping even out with business structure. If you need to restructure your business, so then they can help you out with that as well. Omer, over to you.
I wanted you to speak even more. You know why? Because this is really, really fantastic. Normally, I'm doing that, telling people the importance of finance people and how good we are, the value we bring in. So now, just sitting there and listening to someone else say that, it's such a satisfying feeling, Oksana.
I can think of sometimes actually people. I mean, it's in business. What is happening? The first thing that we think that we need to build up very good operational base. We have to sell it. We have to have very good marketing team. We have to sell the product. And very often it so happens that people forget about financial part, which is which is very important for the business, for its growth. Where are you going to get money from? How are you actually going to balance your financial statement? How are you going to balance it in a way that the business can grow further down the road and to become very successful?
Exactly. How are you going to take care of your financing need, manage your cash flows, ensure the margins are proper, leading and lagging, and everything? So yeah, it is good. And I think perhaps one of the reason is that the financial education is still an area where a lot of work need to be done worldwide. And that's an area where ACCA has been doing tremendous work and leading the profession ahead. So I've just been told we are also joined by, among our other esteemed members, by Belinda, who is also our senior members from member from Singapore and a very active ACCA advocate. Thank you for joining us, Belinda, on a Sunday. Really appreciate it. So just some quick stats. When Oksana and I agreed on the session, we actually had a real big scare and reservation that it's on a Sunday evening. We have never done such a session on Sunday evening. Would people be joining and not? So we would really like to thank you all for joining us. And just some quick stats. The live audience has been between 8 to 13 at any time, concurrent audience. And up till now, as per the dashboard, 31 members from individual IP addresses have logged in for various duration. So we'll continue on to the questions. By the way, we have received quite a lot of questions till now. So I hope you are ready to answer them, Oksana. And we'll try to conclude it on time in next 16 to 17 minutes. And the video will be available on YouTube, so it can be shared even after the event end. And I think today's discussion so far has been very fruitful, focusing on what are hot industries of for startup, what are important things to consider in a startup, what gives edge to finance professionals if they want to start a startup, how can finance professionals help other entrepreneurs in their startups, what are the things to look out for in a startup. So with this, let's move on to our audience question. Are you ready, Oksana? Because the first question I have specifically asked for you. It appreciated us for the session. We have received a lot of compliments. Thank you, everyone, for your kind compliments. By the way, just a quick announcement. In addition to the chat, As mentioned in the YouTube live chat, you can also send your questions to WhatsApp number and LinkedIn. We are getting live feed from there too. So the first question towards you, Oksana, is Oksana, can you kindly comment on going concern in these times of uncertainty? I think what she has asked is that do you think it is a good time to have startups because of the economic climate, the uncertainty, the normal belief that we are in recessionary pressures due to the COVID lockdown and all? So over to you.
I think there are no bad times or good times. All the time, it just depends what you want to do with your life and what your idea is. If you believe in your idea and if you believe that the thing that you're doing is going to create a product and you're going to sell it, uh, it's you can go ahead anytime. Especially, I can say that for what is good about bad times, that you have more opportunities during bad times instead of good times, because during good times you have such a great competition around that sometimes it's very difficult actually to squeeze in and to start up something new, while in bad times people are so much sorry for saying that, but quite often so much scared of doing things that you have a great opportunity to start up something new and fit in, and sometimes it's even much cheaper. Maybe the enter cost is much like cheaper than if you would have tried to start up something new in good times. I remember when I was working in a hedge fund, my portfolio manager, it was exactly after 2008, he said that it's great timing when the market is down, when everyone is scared, it's the best time to start up a business because there's no competition, there's no run around, you have time, and when the time comes up, when the business we have this anyway, uh, uh, when the market goes down and up, goes up and down, so it means that after down there's always up. And when you have financial crisis, after financial crisis there's always recovery. And when you start up something new during financial crisis, during bad times, you have great opportunities when the market would pick up. So you're going to be the first in line to start up running. You're going to be the first one who would be running. Actually, you're going to be ahead of everyone, and you have great opportunities for that.
Thank you, Oksana. So, in summary, what Oksana meant to say was that in every crisis, there are opportunities. If you believe in yourself, you have the right idea, right team, believe you have identified and answered a problem area, go for it. Great. Oksana, we have a lot of questions and we will try to answer as many as possible. So let's try to keep the answer a bit shorter so more and more people's questions can be answered. So the next question is an interesting one. It's actually been asked from both of us. It says, what are your MNPs doing for startup promotions in your markets? Okay. You want to go first or should I?
Just go ahead, Omer. I will
Okay.
follow you.
Sure. So ACC places high importance on upcoming technologies, latest technologies, and certainly the entrepreneurial culture. As far as MNP, the member network panel, is concerned, it's at this different stages in different countries. So when it's evolved a lot and it has matured, it's normally referred to as the MNP, the member network panel. When it's a bit in earlier stages, it's even referred to as MAC, members advisory committee, etc. But the themes are the same. It's basically a national advisory body which is support to advise the ACC offices and the council on members' aspiration, upcoming challenges, opportunities, etc., etc. All the things that you see us doing, be it the income enhancing initiatives like 6 digit, 2 week, too strong, the comprehensive CPD program, the engagement with the employers, the initiatives to engage colleges, educational institutions, lending partners, interactions with the regulators, partnerships with tax bars, chambers, etc. It's all going beyond the call of duty. And because of the cooperation of the officials, it's not technically within the role per se. Having clarified that, ACCA Pakistan's MNP, the Member Network Panel, has done some fantastic work on this front. And when given a chance on council, we would certainly propose the strategy, and hopefully that could be replicated on a worldwide basis. So when I became the chair for the first time in the last tenure, we created 9 different subcommittees and societies on 9 different areas. And one of them, for example, was focused on women in finance. We had a corporate governance banking, corporate governance non-banking, taxation, advisory, academia, etc., employability. One particular which is relevant to this question was entrepreneurship. So what we did as a test basis, we used the ACC offices as startup incubators. We even ran some programs, and we got ACCA members, especially new members, and even some future members who were in their final stages or who became affiliates, and put them through a program of incubation. And it was a fantastic program because investor came from within that program. They started collaborating with each other. In other programs like 6 Digit, we saw similar thing happening. Now, in this tenure, we decided to take it further on the next level. So we have big incubation centers at large national universities, government-sponsored institutions, where we have developed good partnerships. And now we are using those incubation centers and their facilities to promote our fraternity in that. So what it does is it opens up a whole wider spectrum to the ACCA fraternity. So a lot more finances are available. People from outside are also coming. They are also collaborating. Partnerships are built. That's not all. A lot more is happening, and a lot more is in the pipeline. But that is just to give you a quick idea, because we'll be moving on to the next question too. So Oksana, if you would like to add anything quickly, please, over to you.
Yeah, I would like to add what we do here in Russia. I can say that MEP is pretty much new here. We started up only last year, but we've been doing fantastic job by now, and we are dealing with institutions, with universities. Few events ago, just brilliant session in terms of startups, where the startup businesses come up on the stage and give the speech to people, so then people understand what the idea is about. There have been few sessions with angels and with venture funds. We deal with associations, with business associations that support SME businesses, and they provide the same. They give sessions, like pitch sessions for startup businesses, where people present their companies, and it's very interesting to learn from other experiences. And ACCA members have access to those kind of programs, and they can learn from like on life experience, where they can see the presentation, how people actually present their business, what information they put in, how they describe what they're doing. And you can ask questions the same way as we talk right now, Omer, with you. You ask questions, whatever on your mind, why you believe or you don't believe in the business, and those information about different businesses, how everything's set up. At the end of the program, you already become if you know those that it's enjoyed, because you get so much knowledge about digital world around. And this is what ACCA actually allows. I mean, that gives the opportunity for people to learn out of.
And I would also share here that Oksana and me were talking about this in the studio before start of the program, that how we can collaborate, and ACCA Pakistan and Russia MNP can learn from each other's experiences, and we will be doing that, Oksana, right?
Definitely.
Great. Okay, so we have a lot more questions, but we'll just take two, three more because we have 6 minutes left and have to deliver a note of thanks to in the end. So the next question is an interesting one. It says, what is the difference between council and MNP? I think we have been answering that in all the previous sessions, and you can go through the recording to see the answer. But just to give you a quick idea, since you have been kind enough to join today, MNPs are national advisory bodies. That's it. The council is a global platform which helps devise the strategy and represent all membership on a global level. I hope that clarifies, but the details are available on ACCA Global's website. And while I've referred to that, please also check out the new AB app, AB Magazine app that we have launched, as well as the COVID Hub. On to the next question.
Where can I add
Next
up here?
question. The next
Can I-
question is for you, Oksana. The next question, I think you have already answered it, but still it says, is it possible for the finance consultants to be able to advise the clients on the kind of businesses that they can go into using various tools instead of the clients telling the advisor, the finance advisor, what businesses they wish to do? So can it be the other way around, that a businessman comes to the finance advisor, what business should I do? And the finance advisor telling him, you should do this kind of business. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that we know that McKinsey does that, BCG does it. So I know even one guy in Russia who came to McKinsey, and McKinsey helped him out to set up a new business, which was almost microfinancing or something about that. But anyway, even if you get a very good advice, the the way how you do the business after that, after how you set it up, how you make it successful, everything is going to be up to you, because even a great idea needs realization, and without way of understanding how you can make this idea real, it just everything is up to you how you're going to do that. But it works actually both ways, definitely.
Okay, last question of the day. First, you're going to answer that, Oksana. What are the major challenges ACCA members face in your markets? What are you doing about it? Go first, Oksana. Major challenges for ACCAs in Russia, and what are we doing about it? Or since you are new, let's make it, what do you plan to do about it? Since the MNP there is comparatively near.
The first thing that you do, we establish, we actually reuniting ACCA members. We give them knowledge, we teach them, we organize CPDs, and thinking the way how we can
Sorry
make.
to interrupt. Shouldn't you start with first identifying the challenges and then sharing what you are doing? That's the sequence of the question.
Yeah, with challenges it's quite tough. I just even have no idea what kind of challenges right now we are facing. Omer, if you can help me out on that, I would be really grateful to you.
Okay. I think there are many common challenges in many different markets. One challenge that we face normally is in terms of the relationship with the local bodies and the recognition per se. So, for example, in Pakistan, we had to work very hard for the last decade, but I'm very proud to share that we have reached a stage where one of the two major local bodies is now a partner with us. We already have the local taxation practicing rights. The regulator for the local taxation practice from Pakistan Tax Bar to Lahore to Karachi to Multan, etc., they are all partners with us, and they have signed MOUs with us. And I'm honored to have played a pivotal part, although this wouldn't have been possible without the support of the ACCA officials. Similarly, then we get challenges in terms of the employment generating opportunities. So what we have done is we have focused on two different areas. One area that we felt was, and I'm sure it must be the same in Russia too, that members often point out that there are not enough good opportunities. And the businessmen, the employers normally point out there are not enough candidates of the right quality. So obviously there is an expectations gap that needs to be met. Now, ACCA is a world-class qualification that prepares us to work anywhere in the world. It sets you up for best possible technical knowledge. However, there is a reason why CPD is there, why continuous professional development and learning is there. So we need to be aware of how to make presentation, about the communication skills, about the upcoming technology. So we developed programs that I was referring to, 6 digits, 2 week, 2 strong, etc. The CPD programs to upskill our members. Then there was a feeling of a lack of networking, because we all appreciate networking generate more opportunities. So we use WhatsApps and social media to start generating those opportunities. ACC offices, I must really appreciate, supported us in these initiatives and even helped organize the actual physical event, which in turn resulted in more networking. And the result was more opportunities and collaborations, even amongst the fraternity. And similarly, if we go more towards the business side, I've already shared about the entrepreneurship side. Then we had a challenge about the statutory audit rights. We recently signed an agreement with one of the local accounting bodies, which opened up the statutory audit for us to. And I would like to add here that statutory audit, mostly our members say, is perhaps an area where they face problem in many markets, but that's not all. You have taxation services that you can offer. You can work in that field too, either in terms of employment or doing your own practice. And I do promote practicing a lot. You have advisory, you have internal audit, you have compliance, you have so many areas. And frankly speaking, external audit, statutory audit is now a loss leader. We only do that in order to retain the client, so that if we have a client from external audit, we can offer them all the other services. I'm talking very frankly here. So since the time is short, I think I should limit my answer now. But these were and are some of the key challenges around which we have worked. And in my experience, largely these challenges remain same in all the different markets. But you can shed some light whether the situation and the challenges have been same in Russia or it's been somewhat different.
Yeah, I mean, I now understand. It's just like the first challenge which came up to my mind was COVID, actually, that we've been going through in earlier this year. You're absolutely right in terms of those things that you mentioned. They're all across the globe exactly about the same. Maybe just in some particular countries they differ. The variety differ like slightly in terms of authorities. In Russia, we have exactly the same. We have to deal with authorities because the environment is changing in terms of demands, what auditors are going to be doing, how they're going to be certified, and those things that we have to we establish good relations with authorities that are challenging the market in terms of, because the market demands higher professionals and they want to put their certification in place. The second one, networking, is definitely very important, and we're helping out our community to communicate between each other. We want to extend it to the global level. That's why we have this conversation with Omer. I really truly believe that all SCCA members across the globe can communicate in the future the same way as we communicate right now. And this is all up to us to establish these close relations, to understand how things are dealt in other countries, and to get some kind of support, to get a shoulder from another country member. And that one would definitely help us out in solving our own internal local problems. That's why we need these networks and communication across global world, like having communications with other countries, especially in those markets that those problems have been already solved, and while we need some kind of answer. The third one, I believe it's the same CPDs. It's teaching, learning, talking to students, and that's a great actually sector of work that should be done, and we are doing it. And it's very encouraging and powerful when you come to students, talk to them, and you see their brilliant eyes. They get so much interested, and they become a new professionals in your field. So you have broader society, and people are coming up to higher level. It's fantastic to watch how it happens. Yeah, all those things that Omer you mentioned, all of them applicable to us, and I hope that our networking will grow further up, and we'll have this cross-country communications in the future. We'll be able to help each other solve problems, and the same with work experience that people, ACCA members, they're asking themselves questions, how they're going to find job, how ACCA help them out, and ACCA puts lots of work in place to help them with their job opportunities, their websites which are organized for them. There's so many offers coming up from different companies which go through ACCA, and ACCA does everything to help people out to find the job that they want. But people have to be doing their part of work. It's not just only you receive everything, you have to give away something. If you want to find a job, you have to put some effort as well in place. You have to be doing something in order to, to get to the level that you want to. So there should be two-way road, I can say. Am I right about that?
Two to tango. Yeah, great. Very, very well said, Oksana. Good answer. So we are going towards the end. Before we go for the closing note, I would just like to highlight that we are all part of a global family. I believe, and I'm sure you all would believe, that ACCA is our alma mater. We are part of this beautiful global family, and there is a global passport that you can use to work anywhere in the world. ACCA is an association of chartered certified accountants. So an association of us all. It belongs to us all. So we need to take ownership. We need to volunteer. We need to contribute. Now, with regard to that, currently the council elections are taking place. Council is the highest decision-making forum in terms that council assists in developing policy. And that policy then helps us take ACCA forward by continuing to think ahead. However, the member participation and voting has been very low tradition. So much so as between 5 to 6%. So this means that active members, Oksana, who pay their subscription, who do their CPD, do not vote at the most important forum where the policies are devised, which impact us all, which impacts our alma mater. No doubt ACCA is doing a brilliant job. But if you vote, you can make your voice heard. So what I would like to do is encourage you all and request you all to please cast your vote and encourage all active ACCA members in your circle to cast their votes. They are fantastic candidates, and I always advise that please look at their profiles, who they are. Look at their track record, what they have been doing in the past. Have they been there for you? Have they been advocating? Have they been doing voluntary work for ACCA? Look at their manifesto. What is their vision? Are they saying the right things? Do they plan to raise the voice for the issues and aspirations that impact you? So look at the track record, look at the manifesto and the profile, and make an informed decision. But please, whoever you vote, do vote. Now, before we close off, over to you, Oksana, for any closing remarks.
Amer, I fully agree with you that people should vote because it's their future that they're looking forward to. And if you want to have impact, you have to participate in the whole process. You have to be active. You have to take decisions, and you have to identify your own future. And by voting, you identify what you want to ACCA to be, how it's going to be, how it's going to be shaped, how it's going to be working with you. And the only one way I can say that just go and have a look at candidate profiles, make your own choice, make your voice count it, and just make your decision and just go ahead for it and participate as much as possible in ACCA events, in ACCA activities, because ACCA is like it's made of all of us. We are ACCA. We make our world better, and it depends on us. Amer, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a brilliant session. You're a wonderful speaker, and thank you very much, everyone who found time on Sunday evening, your precious time, you spend it with us. I very much appreciate it. It's brilliant that you participated and asked questions. Thank you all. Thank you very much. And I hope to see you soon again.
Thank you, Oksana. Thank you for the brilliant remarks, and thank you for sparing the time yourself. We are grateful. And this is not the last session. This is just first of the many, and we will continuing doing that. In fact, we have been receiving questions now, and we have apologized that we have reached the closing time. So we'll be doing future sessions and addressing these questions there. Please find it in your hearts to give back, especially if you are in a position. I believe that to give back is our duty and obligation. It's not a favor to anyone, but a blessing to us. So, totally agreed. Please get involved more, and please do vote in the council election. Do stay connected with your ACCA family. Check out the ACCA AB magazine app, as we have previously said, and the ACCA COVID Hub, and have a fantastic evening. And thank you not just to you, but to your families too, who allowed you to spend time on the Sunday evening with us. I think it's been a fantastic session. So thank you again, Oksana. Have a good day, everyone. Take care. Till next time. Bye.